welcome to MLW Confusion presents Cass's Indie Spotlight. You know, usually we are bringing you all that you may or may not need to know about Major League Wrestling and its television programming, but of course, there's no Fusion anymore, and we've cut down to like 2 MLW events every month or so. So I'm giving back to the independent wrestling community, spotlighting smaller independent promotions across the United States. This week, we're going to take a look at the Wrestling Federation of America. But first, of course, the news. MLW is already announcing their return to Chicago, aka Cicero, Illinois, this coming November. November is the date. Like, I expect you guys to know. I'm allegedly the expert here. On November 9th, 2024, returning to Cicero Stadium in Cicero, Illinois for Lucha Apocalypto. This is a joint production with CMLL, so that partnership is looking to be continuing until at least the end of the year. So we got that to look forward to. Maybe if this weekend goes well, I'll get me some tickets, sit at the front row, and continue to throw things at the one called Manders. But we'll see how that goes in the meanwhile. In other news, we got some more names announced for Battle Riot. That is June 1st at Center Stage in Atlanta, Georgia. The new list of names include Matthew Justice, Timothy Thatcher, who is my dark horse pick to win it all, ha ha ha, David Boy Smith Jr., Mads Kruger, and Bobby Fish. Of course, they are joining the grouping of Sami Callihan and the one called Fast Food Breakfast Sandwich in the event. Of course, Battle Riot is 40 men competing for an opportunity to challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship, where you can be eliminated via pinfall, via submission, or thrown over the top rope, and both feet hitting the arena floor. If you want to pick out some stats for that, head on over to the MLW Confusion Patreon, www.patreon.com/CASSONOVA. You help support the podcast, and for as little as $2, you can get yourself a copy of my Battle Riot stats. All 141 participants in the Battle Riot match, numbers of elimination, entry numbers, the goods, breaking down eliminations by pinfall, submission, over the top rope as well. The only thing I didn't get to throw in there is the times, because I couldn't find an easy source of wrestler times in there. We also break down these numbers on the latest edition of the Urban Wrestling Network Major League Pod. That's on YouTube, Urban Wrestle NW. And you can check that out on YouTube as well. We break down the numbers, talk about some of my favorite stats, take questions from the Peanut Gallery, in addition to the usual witty banter between myself, Muffins, and Chef. And last but not least, at the time of this here dropping of the podcast, we will have MLW Azteca Lucha. There's been 2 announcements coming out of that. That, of course, is May 11th at Cicero Stadium in Cicero, Illinois, aka Chicago, as they want to talk about it. Got a whole lot of lucha going on for the main card. But before we talk about the main card, we do have 2 announcements coming off of that. One is Sami Callihan is not happy, and he has a beef. We don't know who he has beef with. I assume it's everyone. He just beefs with everybody. But he is going to roll up and confront the person he has a beef with over at Azteca Lucha. The second, kind of a bigger deal, actually, is going to be the appearance of Salvador Lutorov Lomeli. He is kind of the general manager of CMML, and his family is the family that, well, his family is the one who started CMLL. Way back in the 1930s, making CMML one of the longest running wrestling promotions in North America, dare I say the world. So like, that's kind of a big deal. He's going to be in attendance. I don't know, they haven't announced whether he's going to take part in the proceedings in any way, shape, or form, but like, that's kind of like, kind of a big deal spectator to have right then and there. But that being said, of course, Azteca Lucha this weekend live on Triller TV. If you can't be there in person like yours truly. The main card, which I'm focusing on this week, is going to be as follows. Atlantis, Jesus Rodriguez, and Guerrero Maya Jr. takes on Felino Villano III Jr. and Virus. For the National Openweight Championship, Ricochet Page finally defends the title against Mr. 500, Bad Dude Tito. Atlantis Jr. battles Ultimo Guerrero. For the vacant MLW Tag Team Championship, which I don't know why it's vacant. There's a whole stable of guys, and Davey Boy Smith Jr. is not crippled. Anyway, the Second Gear crew, whom I will be booing in the front row, so be look out for that, will be battling World Heavyweight Champion Satoshi Kojima and Okamura, aka Cozy Max. Our favorite fast food breakfast sandwich will be battling Josh Bishop of WTF. Star Jr. and Fuego, hopefully the hat stays on, is taking on Averno and Magnus. And in our main event for the MLW World Middleweight Championship, Mystico defends against Barbaro Cavernario. Looking forward to that match. Big fan of Cavernario. And then, of course, this is a modified Lucha de Apuesta between Azteca Lucha and Promociones Dorado. Whichever faction wins the most matches will gain control of the key to Lucha Libre, the richest prize in all of fightdom. We have no clue over what this MacGuffin actually is. Is it Matassa? Is it a Ferrari? Is it the bedroom of Mama de la Renta? I don't know, but it's the richest prize in the game, allegedly, and they're battling for it this Saturday. All right, so as I said, we're giving the spotlight back to independent wrestling promotions, and by doing so, I'm finding usually television programs of independent wrestling companies throughout the United States, taking recommendations from you guys, the fans, and this week we are settling on the Wrestling Federation of America, a small company out of the Northeast, kind of the New Hampshire land area. They have a program called Reborn TV. Sorry, the B and V is just not doing it for me today. Reborn TV. We are taking a look at episode 11. That is on the YouTubes, so be sure to check that out. I guess we should just, take a brief break, take a pause for that, before we just jump right into things, because they're going to jump right into things. Spoiler alert. So in the meanwhile, go get yourself an energy drink. I'm going to take a breath or something of the like, and I'll catch you all un momento. If you're like me, sometimes you need a pick-me-up to get you through the day. I drink Ray's Energy for that pickup. Ray's comes in a bunch of different flavors, and more recently Italian Ice, which is great, by the way. And it contains no sugar, so there's no crash after you drink it. And really, best of all, if you go through me and go to wetrepsports.com, use my code CASS, you get 15% off your order. So, also, be like Cass, drink Ray's Energy. All right, we got some breaking news. I'm going to apologize for the quality of this recording because this news just dropped out of nowhere, and I wanted to throw it in before the actual episode was published, but I'd already recorded all my news, the review of WFA, etc. But it come down the wire that Alex Kane is going to be in Cicero, Illinois for Azteca Lucha. He is going to be offering an open challenge against the Beaumaye Betrayers in one-on-one action, but he definitely wants to have a confrontation with them first. And so curious to see how this is going to turn out, because the original Betrayal was 4 scrubs who I'd never seen before. And so I'm curious to see if these are going to be the same scrubs, or any one of them are going to be the same scrubs, or if they're just going to grab another indie worker to play Beaumaye to confront Alex Kane. So that is further breaking news coming out of Azteca Lucha. In the meanwhile, I guess continue on with your regularly scheduled programming. All right, let's do this. Wrestling Federation of America, Reborn TV, number 11. We're going to start things off with highlights of the Scott Reed Spencer Slade cage match. This match is for the ownership of WFA, with Reed being the founder of the promotion way back when, and Spencer Slade kind of the young upstart. It looks to be we got a batch of back and forth action overall until the ref is taken out. Then a guy named Bernardo starts doing all the cheating stuff. Evidently, he is the manager agent of Scott Slade. And I do apologize to anybody in WFA and WFA itself, because I've only done just peripheral work on it. I just kind of like go like, hey, this sounds fun, let's do this, and then only do like the bare minimum of research. So if I bugger up anybody's names, and if I'm not totally familiar with your storylines to kind of like keep everyone up to speed, I do apologize for it. But that being said, I'm going to go back to butchering things now with Bernardo. Comes in, offers interference, and does it well enough despite an attempted comeback by Reed. Falls victim to Slade's air raid crash to get the 1-2-3 in the cage. Backstage, Bernardo and Slade are pretty happy overall, and Bernardo was kind of concerned because Slade just kind of like ditched him there in the ring, but he's like, whatever, cool, like we are the owners of WFA now, and Slade's like, no, change my mind. I'm the owner of WFA. Our partnership is dissolved. I don't need you anymore, and just leaves him. So sad face for Bernardo. Got slapped around for no good reason. So long, see you later, na-na-na-na, hey, goodbye, I guess. Anyway, opening package, and when we come to the ring, we find out that a friend of MLW, Joe Dombrowski, is just everywhere in America. He is doing solo commentary here tonight, calling our first match, Keon versus Keo Vandu. Man, I don't feel confident with either of those names, despite actually hearing them aloud and me writing them down. But yeah, Keon and Keo Vandu are our first match of the evening. They put over Keon as one of the kind of the young lions of WFA, whereas Vandu is a guy who's still relatively new, but he's packing on the wins. He's like 4-1, they said, coming into this fight. But Keon starts off pretty hot, finishing up with a twisting bulldog. Only gets a 2 count off of that, though. Despite this flurry of offense, Vandu drops Keon with a hot shot against the ropes and starts working over his leg with a DDT, or excuse me, a knee DT. I wrote that correctly, I just didn't say it out loud because, motor mouth over here. Anywho, Vandu, though, decides he needs to switch strategies. The leg isn't good enough at the moment. Locks into full Nelson before switching that up and hitting a backbreaker. Keon fights back, hits the whole comeback sequence, but goes for a lung blower variation, code breaker if you will, but is caught mid-air by Vandu, who locks in the half crab, and Keon has no point to continue on any further. No chance to escape. He taps out. Your winner, Keo Vandu. And that was a fun little opener. I don't say this derogatorily, but it's going to sound like it. But it's like this is the epitome of a strong opener. Like, it's just, two guys looking to prove themselves and putting on, a decent match, just to give you a taste of what's coming up over the show. Not familiar with either one of these guys, but I definitely think the match was a strong showing. Keon got to show some hot babyface fire, especially important if you're a young lion like that, whereas Vandu, really got to put over his win streak and kind of like his competitive viciousness. Like, he didn't break the rules so much, but like he was all business, ready to win. I would say by any means necessary, but he didn't really cheat, so I guess by any legal means necessary. We next get we'll call it a computer commercial, an advert for the next big event on May 25th. That is Light It Up at the Barrel House Z over in New Hampshire. Didn't write the city name down, so good thing I'm not a wrestling poster. Otherwise, I'd be the epitome of everything I hate in wrestling posters. So if you're up that way and you're a fan of WFA, go check them out May 25th. We then cut into a gym with Steve, pardon me if I butcher this, Gipke, I believe. I had to look this up because Like, he doesn't announce who he is, and then in a minute when we start getting like a voice, an extra voice, it's kind of muffled and you can't always understand everything. But Steve here is like the American dream, just like all of his heroes. Like, he starts off with nothing, through pulling himself up by his own bootstraps, makes himself, the epitome of what every American should be. He's hitting the gym, looking good, taking his supplements, saying his prayers, taking his vitamins, etc., etc., etc. So it looks like we're just going to get kind of like a generic, like, look at me go in the gym kind of promo. And then it gets weird, man. Like, we hear this voice, like, start talking to him about, like, give me control, like, this is who you are, blah blah blah, like, and we start getting like some weird horror movie stuff, he passes, like, he tries to wake himself up in the sink, slaps himself in the face, cold water, like, visage in the mirror, like, passes out and wakes up in like some dingy alleyway with graffiti all over the place. Like, the voice just keeps talking at him about giving it control. And evidently the it is Dark STG, crazy looking dude. So Steve gives in, transforms himself into Dark STG, and I think that was crazy go nuts, man. Like, I was just expected just to roll my eyes and listen to Meathead talk about Meathead things. And all of a sudden, like, we're thrown into this weird horror movie with Dark STG. So that was interesting. Thanks for, turning things on their head for my expectations. So props to that. Cool beans. So after this here brief interlude, we go to our main event. It is for the WFA Championship, as Primetime Cantena challenges Moshpit for the championship. Moshpit is our fighting slam dancing champion, resident metalhead. Before the match starts, the ref is not happy with something about Cantena's gloves. He makes Cantena take them off, and Cantena just stuffs them into his overalls. We get the bell because the ref's just satisfied enough, and Moshpit just starts moshing his way through Cantena, just clubbering away, battling in the ring, outside the ring, around the ring. He's looking to go for a baseball slide, but Cantena catches him Fit Finley style in the ring apron, clubs away at his back. We go to break, and we come back, and Moshpit fights out of a chin lock, and then, like, elbows, like a nasty elbow to Cantena, like, out of the corner. Like, Cantena's like goes for like a running, jumping, I don't know, splash or elbow or something, and then Moshpit just elbows him in the face while he's midair, and I winced at that one. That was a lot of fun. An odd looking pump handle stunner, only gets 2. Cantena cuts off a suicide dive attempt with a pair of hot shots. Cantena hits a hip toss stunner combo for a pair of 2 counts, where he goes for a pin, is in disbelief, does a slightly more secure pin, and only gets 2 off that. Cantena is just kind of like, whatever, we're in Memphis now, starts stalling. He goes outside the ring to kind of catch his breath, take a moment to think about things, also take a moment to pull out the illegal glove that the ref didn't, actually confiscate, because ref bias. But he pops the glove on. He hops up on the ring apron and, like, takes some swings at Moshpit. Moshpit lifts him up for what looks to be like a back suplex when he gets donked on the head by Catena's loaded glove. That donk was all that was needed. Death by donk. Moshpit is out. 1, 2, 3. It is elementary, my dear Watson. Winner and new WFA champion, Primetime Cantena. Or is it? Like, let's talk about this for a moment. Like, he's getting ready to celebrate. A second, more biased ref comes out and snitches on Cantena. Like, tells ref number 1 about the loaded glove or whatever was going on with that glove. And, like, so they're like, dude, whatever, I didn't see nothing. And they kind of, like, go back and forth. And Catena's got the belt. He's celebrating. And the ref violates Katina's personal space and finds the glove in Katina's overalls. He orders the match to be restarted. I have no clue what's going on here. All I know, man, is on the streets, snitches get stitches, so ref number 2 probably should watch himself for snitching things out like that. Go back into the ring. So, like, the match is ordered to continue. The bell has not rung yet. Katina and the ref are getting into it. He kind of, like, gets to the ref's face. Ref pushes Katina, calls for the bell, and as Katina's stumbling back, he gets locked into full Nelson, allowing Moshpit to finish things off with a full Nelson slam. 1, 2, 3, your winner, and still WFA champion Moshpit. And that, while we celebrate, that is how they're ending the show. Moshpit raising the title high as he makes his way to the back. Fade to black. Thank you for coming, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, that was WFA Reborn TV, Wrestling Federation of America. Like, it was a fun little show. A lot of, like, local talents, and I did do the bare minimum kind of sort of research on it, and so, like, a lot of cool Northeast folks come through those doors, like Love Doug, Ichiban, Little Mean Kathleen, Rex Lawless, etc. Like, a batch of, like, some of the Northeastern core of workers, like, come their way through there. So it sounds like a lot of fun. I know this show was a blast to go through, and it's relatively quick, just a half hour of your time right there, so don't blink or you miss it. And I was actually very surprised about, like, the production values involved with the two. Like, the camera was pretty darn clean, which you don't always get in the smaller independent scene. So definitely worth a check out if you're into independent wrestling. The World Federation, Wrestling Federation of America out of the Northeast. I'll try to, like, plug their stuff on my social media, and maybe if I'm really feeling special, maybe in the descriptor tags of this here episode. But yeah, so that's how we're gonna end our show for the evening. Of course, once again, cheap plug for Azteca Lucha this coming weekend, or whatever weekend previously it was when you finally listened to this episode. Check me out. I will be in the front row, and if I played my cards right, hard cam side too, so you're going to see my smiling face or booing face, depending on who's coming out of that there curtain, in the front row, wearing some MLW Confusion swag. So if you happen to be at the Cicero Stadium, come say hi, come hang out. It'll be cool. It'll be a party. In the meanwhile, stay tuned, get all the plugs in about how you can support this here podcast. Tell your friends, tell your family, hit the like, subscribe, and all that good stuff that I'll tell you all over again with a nifty soundtrack by Alan Schroeder. And in the meanwhile, I'll see you guys next week. MLW Confusion is a weekly podcast that's written and performed by Rob Kammer and is hosted by Spotify for podcasters. MLW Confusion is part of the Urban Wrestling Network, and you can check them out on the Underground Rundown on YouTube at Urban Wrestling NW. Background music for this section is Ruined My Day, performed by Alan Schroeder. If you enjoyed this podcast and would like to support, please like, subscribe, and tell your friends, family, and enemies. Leaving a review is also helpful, as word-of-mouth advertisement is very important for small podcasts. My social media links can be found in the descriptor, but the Twitter and Instagram are at the Nova of Cass, that is TheNovaofCass, and Facebook is at MLW Confusion, all one word. If you'd like to support monetarily and help upgrade my equipment, and etc., please check out the tip jar at ko-fi.com/Casanova, or if you prefer some more bang for your buck, go to patreon.com/Casanova, that is CASSONOVA, whereas for as little as $2, backers get access to the podcast early and without those pesky ads, plus other exclusive content. So join the crew that is headed up by Keith Wynn, Alan Schroeder, The False Prophet, Alexander McCarthy, and Left Tendo, and check it out. You can also find t-shirts, coffee mugs, and other merch at the Confusion Podcast store on Teespring. Links will be below. For business inquiries such as ads and sponsorships, please email at rzkammer, that is Kamer, at comcast.net. Thank you for listening.